There is a building south of Atlantic Avenue in what was old Woodhaven, and it still has a sign, the Woodhaven Athletic Club.
Woodhaven, I was a member of the Woodhaven Athletic Club till I went into service in 1941. And it's been there for a good number of years.
Could you tell us what life was like in Woodhaven during the Depression?
Yeah, it was rough, but we managed. My father, here's another thing. My father he was a printer. He was a top man. He got over the union scale. And he was a stone hand or whatever they call it. But none of his sons took up the thing. None of his sons, I couldn't stand going to New York. That's where he was. But one thing about him, if he put 8 hours overtime in, he had to take a day off to give another union man a day's work. And they don't do that today. Certain groups hog all the overtime and everything. But everybody got a piece of the action.
John, what kind of work did you do?
I did automobile work. I was in my own business. I pride myself to be a free enterprise. There's only two things you got to do. Pay your taxes and die. I hate to pay the taxes.
Were you in, when they had these, when they had to crank up to start the car?
Yeah, we call them Armstrong starters. Like today, they don't have that anymore, but we used to both, like in the wintertime, the oil got so heavy, so one guy had to stay in the car and step on the starter, while the other guy with the crank. And you had to grab that crank handle a certain way, otherwise you got your wrist broken.
John, I remember talking to you once about the area down near Woodhaven Boulevard and Conduit Avenue, and I can remember going to Rockaway Beach and seeing the truck farms, and as you went along the Belt Parkway, you could see houses built on boardwalks from creeks that actually came in from Jamaica Bay, and you told me about taking a trolley at Crescent Street and going down to the bay?
Yeah, there was not a trolley, there was a bus run down to the bay. I belonged to the Old Mill Yacht Club. It was down in what they call Point Pleasant. And also you had a section they called Kennelville. And I still remember that they had the floodgates there at the end of Crescent Street. And the tide would come in and fill the whole area up with water, and they shut the floodgates. And at one time there was a mill there. I remember the mill there when I was a youngster, but that got demolished. In fact, if they dig it up there, they'll find the millstone still there because it was buried in the mud. Is another one?
Do you remember some of the churches of the part of Woodhaven you lived in?
Well, I remember there was a French church down on 95th Avenue, around old 97th Street. Mm-hmm. There was a French church there. Then there was another church on, I forget what street, but they tore that down. I don't remember what street it is. I think in one of them books, they have a picture of it.
So you obviously remember Anniversary Day Parade.
Yeah, well, the Christ Lutheran Church used to have an anniversary day parade, and all the kids used to want to go on that parade because when they come back, they got ice cream and some goodies.
Mm.
Did you ever see Mae West down there?
No, I never saw Mae West.
He wishes.
Barra Papa, the bowler, he was in that there, in Mears bar on 78th Street. Barra Papa was there. And in fact, they had a picture of him there. They had two bowling alleys there. Mm-hmm. I bowled there a number of years ago. Not much, but I did.
Did you see the ball games at Dexter Park?
I saw one or two up there, but I remember Dexter Park. In fact, when I tore Dexter Park down, they had a big hot dog grill, which I brought back, brought it to St. Elizabeth's, and they had it down in the basement of St. Elizabeth's. I don't think they have it there no more. I don't know whatever happened to it.
When you were around in the very early days, did the grandstands of the Union Cross Raceway, was that still up?
No, that was gone. That was gone. I didn't see any of that. That was I was too young to see it anyway. I was only 1 year old when we moved on Hudson Street.
John, what was on the site of Franklin K. Lane High School?
That was a Troon home. That's what that was, a Troon home. I remember that Troon home. Because they used to scare us kids, if you don't behave, that's where you're going to go.
And the Truman home then would have been surrounded by cemeteries even then.
Right, it was surrounded by cemeteries even then.
What was Brooklyn Forest Park like in those days?
Brooklyn Forest Park? What do you mean Forest Park, Brooklyn Forest Park?
It was called Brooklyn Forest
I
Park.
don't remember going Brooklyn Forest Park, but I remember Forest Park. In fact, I caddied up there. I still have my caddy badge from 1930.
I heard that the original holes for the golf course were actually along Park Lane Sound.
Yeah, when I caddied there, you went across the road there, and the 18th hole was there. But I know a fellow, he says the 18th hole was way down on Park Lane South, many, many years ago. But you see, all the guys I used to pick their brain, they're all on the ground today.
Very good.
And what else?
Can you tell us something about the stores?
Stores?
What was the commercial street of Woodhaven?
95th Avenue was the commercial street. You had everything you wanted on that street. 97th Avenue and 87th Street, there was a hardware store called Bowman's. The Bowman brothers had it. And they made apartments out of it now. In fact, 97th Avenue had a lot of saloons all along there. We had a lot of Polish saloons. When you went into them, you sat with your back against the wall. But you never know when a Donnybrook would come up.
Did they have hotels?
Yeah, I remember one hotel was down on the corner of by Union Cross Station. I knew it as the Albatross Hotel when I was a kid, but in the book, that Woodhaven book, they have another name for it. And I remember when I was going to San Elizabeth School, and we went in there with a record, and we kicked the safe down the flight of stairs. Boom, that went down, broke. We're going through the floor. And there was another building that just tore down and put CVS drugstore there. It was Nussbaum's factory. There was a sweater factory, and you could still see the guys sitting up there with the machines in, making these sweaters. When we were kids, they used to have a standpipe on the side. When we come out of school, we'd yell up the pipe, and the guy take a bucket of water and throw it down. In fact, at the old 59 school, 82nd place, there used to be a pond back there. It was about that much width from the fence to the pond, and we used to walk along there. And we used to throw rocks in and splash. Then they built the houses there, 82nd place. In fact, the street is still a private street. The city never took it over.
John, what year was the L constructed along Liberty Avenue?
I understand it was completed in 1915 from Grant Avenue to 119th Street.
And where were the major trolley lines at that time?
The major trolley lines was one along 101st Avenue, which was called Jerome Avenue at the time. I think at one time they called it Broadway. And it went down as far as Rockaway Boulevard, and went straight out Rockaway Boulevard to Basley's Pond or Basley's Pond, and then it went along Rockaway Boulevard all the way to Far Rockaway, to Roach's Beach. They used to have the open-head trolleys. We used to get it on 80th Hudson Street, go to Grant Avenue, so we'd get a good seat on the car and ride back all the way out to Roach's Beach. It was the last stop. And you could go to Rosedale, too. In fact, City Line there, that was the hub. In fact, Pincus, there was a dry goods store, and they sold a lot of different stuff, and he made that big building down there. They called it the Pincus Building. He wanted to be the NAMS of City Line, but he was a little too late, because when he started building up Rosedale and all them places, they took the business away from City Line. That used to be the hub. In fact, there's one baker shop bakery store down there. Never there's any snow on that sidewalk, because the ovens were under the sidewalk. It would be nice and warm all the time. In fact, that trolley stopped there, then there was another trolley took you to Brooklyn.